looks like we might be starting off on, I believe, looks like we're hovering over Ilios so far, and that will be interesting. Ilios, of course, being the elusive map of all time. I lied. Is Lijiang Tower? Why did I say anything different?
Hey.
Why did I ever think?
I think last time I did a Kasa broadcast, it was like a year ago or so, we had, I think it was 6 Lijiang Kings Row 2-0s in a day.
Oh my
And my
gosh.
brain was melting out my ears. It was something. It was something. So hopefully these teams are going to be polite enough to not go towards that. UKN, Lupine, and Cottage Gnomes, I'm praying. Please don't pick Kings Row. Just, like, be kind, please. But also, we don't have as many games as then, so it's going to be a little bit more reasonable. Kings Row's perfectly... Well, not Kings Row, sorry. Lijiang, pretty standard. We've seen it all before. Jordy Steele is making airplane references in chat, as God intended. And it seems like everybody's just ready to have a right all fun time.
Absolutely. And Lijiang Tower, we had just seen it. We had seen Divey play there earlier today. We've also seen the Ram and the Rhine Brawl be played there as well, specifically on Night Market, which personally is my favorite of the three types of maps you can get between Control Center and Night Market and Gardens. Gardens, super open, super fun for your Flex DPS to play Pharah or Echo, which we did see very, very well in our last series at the same time. So like we said, we're getting right into it. The overlay is getting updated. Thank you. Should be getting updated very soon. Yeah, it's getting there. But Lupine and Cottage Gnomes coming through. We're gonna be seeing their comps in a couple seconds.
Yeah, it's gonna be a garden start, of course, same as last time. UKN Lupine on the left side of your screen there for the garden gnomes, going to be on the right. Comp's going to be unlocked in about 5 seconds, so we can see exactly what they're playing. My expectation would be like Diva, Tracer, Cass.
Yeah.
And it's not what we get at all, actually. It's a Monkey Mirror, by at least what we're seeing in the spawn. So's the Pharah. Of course, Lupine going to be going towards the Mercy for it, whereas Soul on the side of the Cottage Gnomes wants the Lucio instead for the added utility. In terms of the leftover pick, I do prefer the Tracer to the Ashe, but we'll have to wait and see. So Cottage Gnomes probably need to go a little bit earlier with their tank line. I think for the side of UKN Lupine, you just want to sit back and poke even with red on that Tracer. I think the Mercy just like forces you to play this super slow, super steady starter play.
I completely agree there. I mean, Pharah becoming so independent post rework, right? So she doesn't really need the Mercy to be viable, but Lupine probably just want to give all that extra damage output that she does offer with all that, with these, with how big her rockets are anyway. We're gonna be seeing this fight come up on through the main side, and why finding a Gungar there very quickly, in fact, in the first team fight, which I feel like, again, so susceptible to being dived on is that Ashe. You have the Coach Gun, and that's it. And then again, we're gonna be seeing the rest of the Cottage Gnomes fall slowly but surely. First Axel, then Soul. At that point, you just gotta try back out or just die.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. But Lupine get first pick super quickly. That Mercy boosted Pharah is just a crazy damage here. We see Lil Tuna already up to 60% of a barrage, getting great work done. And notice that no one on Cottage Gnomes has really had a chance to get much of anything happening. Juan Pablo wants the Echo to try and take the duel into Lil Tuna, but it's not as comfortable as maybe it once was. And another thing as well, Cottage Gnomes, they don't really have a comfortable dive target.
No, they really don't. Everyone on this comp is so slippery to deal with. So who are they gonna dive? Nobody. Maybe put some pressure on the Kiriko, which is really good to get that Suzu and that suicide out as fast as possible. But here it is, coming through the white room, through the back entrance of the main point, forcing UK Lupine to back up a little bit here, regroup. But still, there it is, the cast swap coming in clutch, taking care of Lil Tuna on the Pharah so fast. But we forget about the Mercy, allowing that rest to come through. Yes, the Stickies does get the Mercy out of here, but now your Pharah's back and putting a lot of hurt on Juan Pablo. And then the barrage is already already ready. I don't want to say that twice in a row, but it's there so quick. I mean, you gotta be so aware of when that barrage is on lock.
Yeah, so far I've been very, very confident for UK and Lupine. This Pharah has been so strong in their favor. Cottage Gnomes don't seem to know how to really break it. Gotta say, again, I feel like a Diva would be super viable here rather than the Monkey, but they're sticking with it at least for now, as Lil Tuna is just free to absolutely rain down rockets.
Being able to rain down on the double continued rush right across the bridge towards the point, and it spells victory for Soul, finding both Kiori and Y, the tank, and your Kiriko. UK Lupine definitely going to be waiting to stall out this point a little bit more. Maybe get to a good 90-95%, maybe with the last minute touch from Les for Mercy. Wait, this is a great name. I didn't even peep your name until right now. I love you.
It does kind of bang, yeah? I mean, already, Cottage Gnomes up to about 10%, but last fight territory for UK and Lupine means that they can't make a single mistake. They kind of need to go early with this dupe. Otherwise, I think eventually they are going to get poked out. The silver lining, though, is that Lupine have basically no ultimates right now.
Oh, that's huge! The focusing beam and basically the rest of the focus on Y, who was a little bit too far in, and the support just couldn't support from the back there, was such a great pick. And then the last, poor Les for Mercy just getting pelted down by Gungnir on the Cassidy, which has been again a massive swap for the side of Cottage Gnomes, shutting down previously Farah, now Lotuna over to the Echo to mirror that burst damage potential, shutting down Mercy as well. So good. Now a little bit poking coming in from Red on the side of UKN as he tried to put this pulse bomb. Okay.
Oh, that's recall out early. That's tricky from Lupine. They're going to have a lot less going power. Now Red can't really commit as hard as maybe they want to. Cottage Gnomes got the Primal, got the dupe, and got a pick onto Red as well.
Yeah, without that recall you had mentioned earlier, I mean, it's so susceptible to Juan Pablo, who is just playing around wherever they want in this airspace. No one inside of Lupine can really contest them. You don't really have a hit scan safe for Red, but why would Tracer ever, you know? So Lupine might have to rethink the comp a little bit here, especially with Red on the Tracer, maybe Mercy as well. But both we have Valk and Pulse ready as well as the duplicate coming up online soon. So a little bit more damage from Lotuna will get that duplicate out sooner than later.
Yeah, the invested stickies and the Valk already. In fact, everything being thrown into the fight from Lucian and Lupine, but Gungnir the one to find the opening frag this time.
Absolutely amazing shots from Gungnir, and then forces the Primal out as well, coming in from George Steele. And it also has the duplicate from Echo from Lotuna. They're onto the Winston, maybe building up a little bit. Can we build up the Primal enough? No, we did, but we couldn't come out in time for it. Cottage Gnomes are starting to get their footing back in this team fight as the contesting continues over and over again. But look at this. The swap from Gungnir and Juan Pablo were absolutely phenomenal. It allows them to get that objective in their favor after Lupine was so in the lead.
Yeah, a great momentum shift as well. Remember how I was saying that it's kind of such a hard point to retake? Well, we see that once again. Once the point flips, it feels like the shoe is on the other foot, metaphorically speaking, right? UKN and Lupine are the ones that are really struggling to get in. Cottage Gnomes are so firmly in control. Not going to be as powerful on a point like this. If you want, you can go towards something a little bit more broy like the Cottage Gnomes are doing. But their lack of hit scan pressure is going to be a real issue once they see Lil Tuna again on this Pharah. So Cottage Gnomes, I would expect to be swapping over to maybe a cast from Gungnir. But only time will tell, of course, exactly how they choose to adapt.
Absolutely, and this is the adaptation question. We're going to be seeing their, not Ryan, but Ram competition coming in from Cottage Gnomes with Gungnir on that Symmetra, and they're already TPing right to the point. Lil Tuna able to find them out, seek them so quickly in that airspace, but again, now that you're on the point, you're just hunkering down with the Symmetra turrets. It becomes so much more difficult. But as I said, that Lil Tuna uncontested in the air by anybody. Finding Gungnir, also finding Soul with the honor pick from Kiori with the anti-nade. Lupine able to find such a great opening for themselves, taking out the DPS, taking out the supports, and now just kind of leaving, Jordy Steele, all by themselves.
Yeah, Jordy Steele kind of cooks there, but again, no hit scan threat, and that's why we're seeing now a full wholesale swap-ups instead. It's a counter comp from Cottage Gnomes. Echo, Malga, Ashe. This is going to be a little bit more comfortable. I'm not sure about the Malga here, though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I'm not sure about the Malga. I love the Ashe pick. I love everything else that has been swapped, however. Ooh, Lil Tuna gonna be focused down by the honing beam from Juan Pablo again. A menace on this Echo. They have been the whole time for Lupine. Gonna be seeing team fight kind of being a little more scattered. Gonna be seeing also Lupine jumping right into that objective. The Susan has been expanded so quickly, and unfortunately for Y, just couldn't really find their opening at all in this extremely up close heavy brawl comp that Cosmos has now adapted.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is Jordy Steele is going to be super easy to poke out. So if UKN and Lupine are able to slow down their momentum, just play their own pace, then as long as they get the cardiac overdrive out, it's essentially a free fight win for them. That's what they have to play for, and if they can't, no, they're going to really struggle.
Oh, can we find the honor? We absolutely can. We have the homing beam as well. The nade has been expended, and there it is. Kiori saw out, but Little Tuna again, not one but two with that barrage, coupled with their Mercy pocket. I mean, they kind of just fall over, unfortunately, for the Cottage Gnomes, and with just Malga left, with just Georgie's Theo, it's gone. Yeah, great recontest, great team fight from Lupine, only really expending that barrage. So, really great ult economy they have in the bank for them in the next team fight.
They have pretty much all the bells and whistles for this next fight. The standard play will just be a Nano Winston, but they've got so much more to augment that with should they wish. Cottage Gnomes, they've had this dupe for a while. They haven't really had a crazy amount of value with it. I would expect just duping the monkey, try to go in and get what pressure they can, and they need to find value with that as well.
Ooh. All getting so low there. Are Ana a little bit back there, back by themselves. Doesn't really get sought out, but there it is. The duplicate we were talking about earlier. One Public me ripping it clean with that Winston, but Red making the backline wish they weren't playing support. Finding Axel with the pulse bomb is so imperative. And then unfortunately the bomb was expended as well as the duplicate for side of Cottage Gnomes. UKN Lupine, however, also expending a lot of their ultimates. All of them, in fact. We used the Nano, we used the Primal, we used the pulse bomb as well, and Lesser Mercy also just finishing up their Valk. So now they have to rely on the quick buildup of this barrage. Jesus, you see how fast that ult goes up?
And look how fast Jordy Steel goes down as well. That's a nade and a quick hit, meaning the Cottage Gnomes have no tank in the final fight here. On Gardens, it could well be it, going 1-1 unless Gungnir has something to say about it. Evidently not. A barrage is going to put an end to their fight, and we're now tied up here in Lijiang.
Yeah, and so surprising as well. Such a great first round from Cottage Gnomes with that Cassidy swap. I have to keep saying it. It just kept shutting down any of the Flyers, Echo, Mphara, and Mercy altogether. But without that Cassidy, without that consistent hit scan, Cottage Gnomes just couldn't find their target of course, either the Mercy or Little Tuna, who was previously on that aforementioned Echo Pharah. But now we have just straight up brawl coming in to the control center, and we have the composition of all time on my right side of the screen. Let's explain that real fast, Beck.
I like it. It's going to be super frontline trading. Your Zarya is really good at farming charge in comps like this, where it's kind of hard to control how much energy you take. But you can't really go for any set plays. Jordy Steel is just going to be self-bubbling, I'd expect, and just trying to just burn the front line.
The only difficult thing is that big old Ryan shield gonna be making sure everyone that stays behind that shield is gonna be real protected from that Zarya high charge, which Jordy's already, or at least was at 45, but very stingy with their bubbles, as you can see, not expending for anything. And the great wall into that little server room, so good for Lupine to continue to uphold this space that they are just making sure they're taken care of. But look at this, the rest of the side of Cottage Gnomes is getting pelted down towards the main corridor, almost getting walled up. Our poor tank can't get out of there in time. Jordy Steel going straight down for the count, and a crazy icicle shot from Lil Tuna sends Juan Pablo following suit.
Unfortunately, when you're playing a comp like this, it's really not all that survivable, so you do need your damage threat and only your damage threat to keep UK and Lupine back. Unfortunately, we don't really see that, especially Jordy Steel's kind of struggling to find purchase. They do have a Riptire though, and Red might need to try and break this.
They're gonna have to. Red is also struggling for that for their health pool to stay up and stay alive long enough for the next rotation coming in from Cottage Gnomes, going all the way around. And you know, Jordy's still trying to go all the way to the back line, but gets stuffed out by the Amplification Matrix. We find Lil Tuna with the secondary firepower, which is absolutely humongous, and also why going a little bit too far in. The shatter is ready though, the confidence is there, but so is this Deadeye. Boom, gonna be making everybody run for cover, and there's no one who is gonna be stopping Jordy Steel from just annihilating everybody.
Saving the Riptide through is huge, actually, because that ultimate, in terms of fear factor, there's nothing else quite like it, right? I mean, a homing missile coming from absolutely anywhere. UK and Lupine really have to care this. So Juan Pablo, if I were him, I'd be saving this so just harass the rotate of UK and Lupine, try and hit them when they're kind of focusing on something else. We'll see exactly how they decide to invest it though.
Oh, big wall, just in case anyone on the high ground is going to be there. And of course, the main Blizzard is also coming up on deck. But there is the Rip Tower coming in from our aforementioned Junkrat coming in for the backland in the Immortality
broken.
field. The Immortality field was out. We also meleeed it out of the equation. Great job from Red again. Getting rid of the Steel Trap Tire. Humongous. The Shatter has now been expended, but it gets nobody. The Deadeye has to be utilized as a backup. And why? Oh, you are no HP. You got to get out of there. Go. And we low-key almost do. Oh, almost is a very strong word, but it's still looking like a very nicely wrapped up team fight one from Lupine.
Yeah, lovely retake there. As long as the tire's broken down, then there wasn't a crazy amount of other threat from Cottage Gnomes who weren't able to capitalize on the chaos it created. Now they got Blizzard set up defensively with Little Tuna on this May. UKN Lupine should be poised to take this fight, actually.
The rotation coming in from the left side while the entire map gets rotated over to the server room. The Amplification Matrix cuts off Jordy from the team, forced to go back behind cover. There's the Blizzard as well, forcing the Sunberry coming from Soul to keep the team up and alive, while Pablo finding a lot of mileage with the grab from Jordy. This is how you do it. And of course, the last minute contest just gets 9%. It's not the end of the world. Little Tuna falling down. Axel on the Moira, I want to say, has been doing a really great job of sustaining the team with what little utility that Moira does give. It's just, she just burst out healing. I'm very proud of them for playing that character.
I mean, again, Cottage Gnomes spend heavily, but they still have these DPS ults so good at buying time that UKN Lupine might have to just respect it for a fight or two. Again, one problem last time with the Ripside didn't find a crazy amount. Hopefully this time, though, there can be a little bit more pop.
Oh, coming from the high ground. No one has seen it yet, and it finds Kiori lacking Immortality Field for self-defensive purposes. Gunder also going to be finding Less for Mercy in the back, very first in that team fight, and again, very easily done. And one excursion coming in from the Cottage Gnomes, who are now pushing up in order to make sure that Lupine can't even get through these rooms, or even through the door.
UKN Lupine, though, they're building up to some of their ultimates, and Cottage Gnomes are so far away from their own. Axel needs to finish his coalescence for the start of this next fight, otherwise Lupine will have a huge advantage. Deadeye, though, is great.
Gonna be clearing all this space, and it finds Kiori again, lampless once more. And again, now we had overtime. The wick is ticking right down. Cottage Gnomes getting the pressure put on them, especially on Juan Pablo. But again, it's just gonna be Dunger just foregoing, does not care. Hey, my team is dead, it's fine. I'm gonna pop off and make sure that we take this round in our favor with the comp of all time, the Zarya, the Moira, the Junkrat, Lucio, the Cat. They all worked out against such a pre-established composition of the Reinhardt, the Mei, the Baptiste. That is such a bread and butter composition, and it was just completely negated by Cottage Gnomes time and time again.
Yeah, super impressed by that player there. Seem to have really figured out how to play Lijiang Tower, and I know we said we wanted a competitive series here, Mott. So far, it's definitely been giving that, right? It's been back and forth. Close, it feels like, on every sub point. You know, obviously go 2-1 as well. So super excited to see how it continues to go next. Of course, it's going to be UKN Lupine's map pick as we think about Hybrid. Really curious to see where they go, actually. But again, Paraiso might not be a bad choice. The other option is going to be Eichenwald, I believe.
Just Eichenwald as the other option, of course, and of the two to choose from, Paraiso or Eichenwald, personally. Oh, they go Paraiso. That, again, very interesting option where on the side of things when we were casting last week, or, you know, there was mostly a preference for Eichenwald or King's Row when that was available to them as well. But Paraiso, we haven't seen much of it. We only really saw that first point for a very long time. So hopefully it goes all the way the distance. We can see the difference of team play that you have to play on first point versus second point versus third point. It's such high ground. It's so high ground heavy. It's so high. And I find it very claustrophobic actually on the attacking side because of that main streetway on second point. It's so claustrophobic. It's so brawly sometimes. I feels like even if you're both playing dive, it's just so hectic.
Yeah, it does mean that there's a lot of angles for DPS to take, so I think it is more of a DPS-centric kind of point, just in terms of how you want to play it, and in terms of who's really being tested to play here. As a defender, you have access to some longer sight lines, of course, but it's kind of hard to work them sometimes because they are so long. Anna's great at it. Widow's great at it. Outside of that, you might struggle a little bit more. But again, we have to actually get there first, because that first point can be absolutely diabolical to attack. And, in my opinion, last point is just kind of terrible. So we'll have to see if we get there. And if we do, then we can get into the macro, the play of it in a little bit more detail. Of course, so loading into parity. So right now, I believe it's going to be Cottage Gnomes starting out on the attack. UKN Lupine going to be defending first. And they decide exactly where the buck stops.
Yep. Exactly that. And we had just seen earlier a full hold on Paraiso, right? Or close to a full hold, having that first tick, is give or take. But at the end of the day, we're gonna be seeing these comps unlock in just a couple of seconds, and I do expect to see a dive from both teams here, because of that fact that you can just clear those high grounds. You can go to the high ground so quickly with a D.Va, a Winston, and there it is. Yep, there it is. Yeah, we are seeing that right now. We had just seen the Winston. We're gonna be seeing the Winston again from Y and Georgie, and a little bit of a different DPS line. Like you're saying, longer sidelines, great for people like Widow, like Ana, and now also seeing Red on the Ashe. It's not terrible. She has great sidelines as well. It just doesn't get the same value as Widow, for example, who can just clean your head off.
Yeah, I mean,
half the map.
Ashe on first point is still super comfortable, though. The ranges aren't long enough that the damage fall off becomes a huge issue, unless you're trying to fight, like, stairway from defender high ground. So it's going to be pretty fine for UKN Lupine. The pressure cycling might get a bit weird if Y tries to engage, like, aggressively with a Tesla cannon. Normally, you just want to fight the high grounds. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes, of course. All we really need to pay attention to is if Red can care Juan Pablo, because that's going to be the main threat, I think, to the Ashe and vice versa.
I completely agree. They have to make sure that Juan Pablo is able to pop off on the Echo like they have been consistently for the past couple of games here. And gonna be seeking out that Ana, which doesn't really have much potential besides, of course, Lesser Mercy, who is now on the Brig. That has to carry the other Winston, and there it is. Y has to back out a little bit, goes back to the bridge after stabilizing a little bit there, and they're just making sure that this high ground does not get peeked out by the side of Cottage Gnomes. Kind of playing a little bit slow. They're going around all the way to the back end of the objective, and the Echo Stickers are now out and about. We are up in the air in Narnia, and so is Y going all the way in and trying to find the kill, but might have gone a little too far.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Now, 4v5, we need to see a trade, and a nade is going to be a huge precipice for that. Lovely sleep. What more can they find?
We do find the Ana, unfortunately. Juan Pablo once again. If you care for Juan Pablo, they will be able to get so much value on this Echo. And yes, Lutuna does find Soul, but at the end of the day, I believe that's going to be a complete objective unlock from the side of Cottage Gnomes after a very well-placed dive, as well as kind of opening up that door of, hey, why just overextended too much? Their Winston doesn't have jump yet. Burn them down.
That's couldn't have put it better myself, honestly. Just a bit of a feed, unfortunately, from Y. Forces UKN Lupine back so damn far. Cottage Gnomes already get the first cap, and now they can get into this streets phase of the map. Again, more DPS-centric. If Lil Tuna and Red can really control the space, it's going to be a lot easier. Y is essentially just going to be functioning as a third DPS here. The same could be said of their counterparts, of course, on the Cottage Gnomes.
Payload can be moving and cruising through the objective already halfway there to point B, which is great, right? And Lil Tuna can be specking this high ground area where the stairs are, where the hill is for the side of Cottage Gnomes. The fight, however, is done in this little alleyway, and Axel, unfortunately, just in the middle of two monkeys going at it. Georgie Steele also gonna be finding himself back to spawn with their flex support, and so coming right back to the team here. But Lupine has to kind of just hold that without their tank. Lupine has to has to hold that without their tank because of the fact that the team fight just kind of went so sour so quickly.
They're going to really struggle to attack here as well. Normally, you kind of need that momentum to keep kind of rolling through Streets phase because the retake is so weird. Soul goes down really, really early, which means this fight probably just has no legs unless they can find a punish quick onto Y, and it doesn't look like they can.
But they do find the pulse pump on Lesser Mercy. Like, they didn't have that break shoot up right in time, but the Bob, as a response, finds Juan Pablo in the air and also just sends Georgie Steele down for the count. Unfortunately for Gong, it's just, yeah, Another, again, very cleanly defended team fight coming in from the side of Lupine once more on the defense phase. And I feel like what we were talking about earlier about the high grounds and how well you can control it on the defense side is really showing to its fullest extent on Lupine's defense. They are just able to cycle through the high grounds and just negate every option that Cottage is trying to go for, especially on Axel, who goes down so fast.
Yeah, absolutely blended here as the Primal's invested. That is the end of UKN Lupine's ultimates. But so far, I mean, we're seeing great value here from Y, who's able to escape with his life as well. Cottage Gnomes can go in with 3 of their own should they be able to get a full 5. There's the beat, but that's just to keep Jordy Steele alive.
Yeah, because my man was one for such a long time, and Red still able to find Jordy Steele even after the sound barrier coming from Soul, who's also being focused on by that honing beam. Again, Little Tuna finding the diff in the mirror, and Axel just trying to be on the card for a little longer, but unfortunately gets found out by Red. Gungminer also. The stickies, such a great option from Little Tuna, who has been so good at landing them consistently and following through as well. Cottage Gnomes not looking the best right now. Having the continued rush is really great. We also see a almost a full swap here. We're gonna be seeing Gungmir onto the Cassidy, and again, the Malga is making an appearance.
It is, but I don't really see what you can do. You have to force cart, you're going to get poked out, your E is going to end, and then you're going to die, is what I expect to happen. See if it plays out any differently in practice, though.
The Suzu has been expended so early on, and there's a duplicate onto their own Malga. Now it's a brawl for brawl, E for E, lifesteal for lifesteal. Gungmir does find Red after the post-cast swap here, and my poor Ana struggling to keep everyone alive as the Jordy Steele just tears down everyone limb from limb. The cart is still moving, able to focus down on Lil Tuna with the help of Juan Pablo. Unfortunately for the side of UKN Lupine, they're forced to back out and retreat. The backline can be pelted by the dive here. Oh, great peel from Y, however.
Yeah, Curie finds the kill as well. The Tesla Cannon not going to do a crazy amount to Jordy Steele, but the rest of the team of UKN Lupine will. So Y can press deeper, clean up these exit frags, and Buck again going to be stopped here. Minute left to go, one fight needed to extend play, and UKN Lupine the one banking the ults a little bit more effectively. They've already got this Primal Rage, a Bob's on the horizon, whereas for Cottage Gnomes, they need a dupe from Juan Pablo to find value, and so far they kind of haven't, unfortunately.
I agree. In a duplicate for Pablo would spell victory to make it at least to point B and reset, get an extra minute and a half on the clock for that point C capture, right? But there's the answer now, Juan Pablo, and that duplicate is not coming online anytime soon. Yeah, just someone dead in Miami, go get them. Gonna be seeing also Jordy Steele getting all the pressure put on them by Lil Tuna as Axel once again can't find a way out of the fray Gonna be seeing a little bit of a reset from Lupine once more. Duplicate for them is online, so is the Bob, so is the Primal. Nano coming up as well. It's looking extremely comfortable for Lupine at full hold here.
Yeah, I expect them to be honest. It has to be a touch from, I believe, Soul. Good poke early onto Tuna, but you need a lot more than that.
You do, and with the Bob there as well, I mean, it makes your life so much harder, and the Suzu being expended so early on after Jordy's E has been expended, it means, you know, can't sustain long enough, unfortunately. Lupine looking so amazing as Gungmir, the only one left on this cart, trying to contest it, trying to stall time until the rest of the team can come back, but just like that, we have made it just short of point B. 1 point on the board for Cottage Gnomes, 117 meters to go for Lupine's own attack phase.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty dominant of a lockout here. Second point can be really, really tricky to attack. I've known myself. I mean, I once got sat down in a call for 4 hours with an ex-Chinese contenders coach. We talked about nothing but Para-ESO second point and how to attack it. It is slightly diabolical. And unfortunately, Cottage Gnomes on the receiving end of that. However, what it does mean, though, is that they will be able to, you know, utilize that same point in their own defense. So it's not over for them just yet. Getting it essentially to the end of that point gives them a lot of leeway to play with. And of course, Lupine's going to have to crack through that first point as well. Their comp's going to be the same. I will say that Cottage Gnomes, they need to kind of stop getting poked out. It feels like they just get giving a lot of mistakes. So they probably don't need to. This Kiri Lucio backhand as well with the Ram, I'm not a crazy fan of. We already see Jordy Steele getting poked out and really struggling to keep his health high when they were playing it with the Monkey before. And Ram traditionally takes even more damage, so I'm not quite sure about this. I would love to see maybe a Baptiste, maybe an Anna, something to give you a little bit more healing throughput just to keep your tank stable.
Absolutely. And with how quickly Axel does expend that Suzu cooldown, which is such an imperative cooldown to keep in that back pocket for things like Kyori's anti-nade, for example. Things like, well, previously Echo Stickies we had the Echo Stickies in our disposal, but things like that, so important to keep in your back pocket. But at the same time, I mean, on the attack phase, the dive from Lupine will be immaculate here as they reset a little bit. We also see the swap from red back to the Ash for some more consistent damage and little shorter sight lines. Why can be going a little bit too far in and gets completely shut down and punished by the Cottage Gnomes, who are stationed so nicely on this high ground.
And they don't have to do anything now. They've got the pick. Realistically, UKN Lupine should just back up, and you'd love to get some stagger kills here. Doesn't look like they really need to go for them, though. They'd just be taking risks unnecessarily. Lil Tuna has a free angle here, but can't seem to get too much done with it.
There it is. Great Suzu timing coming in from Axel, but again, getting found out by Y. The dynamite onto One Power, which is evil, as Kyori finishes it off with the nade. Looks like Cottage Gnomes has to back out a little bit, maybe go for more of a poke phase with the Ramattra Primary Fire, with the Lucio Boop. Great boop in question, and there we go. We're speeding right out of there as fast as we possibly can. The anti-nade on poor Jordy is going to be making sure they also are not going to be able to get out of there without adding a point to the frag board for the side of Lupine. Now the point is already halfway captured. It's only Axel and Soul there really to poke out, as well as Juan Pablo. So that's me another full cap and about 5 minutes on the time bank for their push.
Yeah, gargantuan time bank here. All of the back of Kyori sleep there. Without it, they don't have a way in. They don't have an easy frag to just start prying open the defense of Cottage Gnomes. Now 5 minutes left to go. This is going to be really tricky, especially as Jordy Steele can't easily contest payload and ping pong between payload and the high grounds.
Huge wall, huge wall from Juan Pablo. Saw that wide, turned around, was about to jump right back out to safety, and said, nope, not going nowhere. Absolutely amazing play coming in from Cottage Gnomes as they are stationed up in this window, but still, the cart moving already halfway to the point, and Axel, as well as the side, of Juan Pablo, gonna be kind of forcing Lupine back out as they have incredible spam damage with that kunai and that secondary fire from Mei. But ooh, Soul, were you able to get out there in time? Able to get out just narrowly with the skin of the teeth, but then Little Tuna coming in, the Deadeye also gonna be expended here. Great wall once more. Does it find anyone? Ooh, another good shield.
Yeah, just going to burn a little bit of time. Time, there's something they need to burn a lot more of. They kind of need conversions, and a huge pick there. Going to make this one a little bit easier until Y just starts frying them with a Tester Cannon.
And Georgie forced to just hold Block Simulator and not even play Overwatch the game. The golden mouse of victory is right there for them. Anthony on Soul forces that sound barrier for a last minute recontest. They're getting booped all around. The Primal's also ready at any time. It might be expended here just to push everyone away from the cart. Gungnir on the Sombra though, coming in, allowing that Blizzard to be utilized there as well. And is that going to be enough? The Primal has now been out by Y, as well as the Bob. They're going to be expending everything to win the fight. Lupine going toe-to-toe with Cottage Gnomes for our first Game 3.
Yeah, and they look pretty confident here, honestly. It seems like they've just their bread and butter, this Echo Ash monkey comp. And when they can play around these high grounds, then they just seem so in control. I mean, Cottage Gnomes really did struggle here. You know, they got a couple fight wins off of just uncharacteristic mistakes, I feel like, out of Lupine. But after that, you know, it felt kind of all over. It felt so almost one-way traffic for the side of UKN Lupine. And so super impressed by how they played, by the metal they were able to bring. And now it's tied 1-on-1 here. Cottage Gnomes map pick as we start thinking about push. It seems like they want to go New Queen Street.
Yeah. It looks like New Queen Street will be our next pick. Immediately they said New Queen Street. We're going in.
They look in.
And they want to go right in. You know what? I quite like New Queen Street, but the other picks were, of course, the other two push from the game were Coliseo and Esperanza. Coliseo with the new, somewhat new additions of removing the walls and adding extra little staircases for more accessibility to hard to reach places, I think has kind of allowed it to go up the tier of likable maps in the game, especially after those changes were made. So that could have been an option, but New Queen Street just Very consistent. Everyone likes it. You can play really whatever you want. You can play the dive. You can play the brawl. You can even play a poke a little bit with how long those street phases can get and the long side lanes they can become. So I'm not even mad about them going to Queen Street. It gives a lot of flexibility to what each player, or I'm sorry, what each team wants to play.
I think that New Queen Street's a fair choice. If I were them, your options being Push, being Colosseo, New Queen Street, Esperanza, I probably would have went towards Colosseo, personally. I think it's easier to stop your opponents just having monkey freedom there. But I still think New Queen Street's pretty viable for whatever you want to play. There aren't crazy high grounds to just mess around with. It's kind of the white bread of push maps, I want to say, for lack of a better phrase.
Not the white bread. The 99 cents.
No, I think it's
bread.
fair enough.
That's so funny.
You want whole grain? Like, that would be like Colosseo before the rework, where you were only ever going to play like Brawl frontline trading comps.
Yes.
If you tried to play an Angles comp, then like Spylo would take you out back and just like hit you over the head with a big stick.
It's like now like Kasa got the rework, it's like it was whole wheat, but now it's like honey whole wheat. It has a little bit of sweetness to it. It's
maybe it's like 50-50.
It's like kind of better now. It's a little better. All right, looking at teams are getting starting very soon. New Queen Street is gonna be the pickup choice, and I'm very interested to see exactly what competitions we are gonna be playing here because we've seen a little bit of everything besides poke. We didn't really see too much poke going on, and we are locking in a lot. I saw before like everyone was locked into a lobby, people were already picking. So I saw a Winston, I saw a Zarya. Zarya into Winston. Please don't. I saw Lifeweaver. Please don't go Zarya into Winston. I'm trying to like telepathically tell them don't go Zarya, don't go Zarya, don't go Zarya. It makes her life so difficult with Bubble.
I suppose it's not as bad on a push where you just have to play this one mobile objective and you can keep your damage threat to stop the Winston from going on you, but you just have to like hope your backline survives the monkey dives, and I like taking that risk sometimes. Other times though, it's going to be a little bit tricky here. So we've got our comps locked in, pretty much the same from UKN Lupine, Tuna on the Tracer rather than the Echo. And for Cottage Gnomes, they are back on Jordy Steele's Zarya pick. Different DPS, they will have free fight wins with the EMP. But again, you don't have great bubble targets here. I guess you bubble Juan Pablo on the Venture. But I do think in terms of the comp matchup, UKN Lupine has a very definitive advantage.
I completely agree. What's Zarya gonna do when Winston jumps over her? Nothing. But at the same time, you have a pretty mobile backline of the Lucio, the Moira, the Venture to an extent. That dig animation is a little bit slow. You can catch them out of it so quickly. And the Sombra as well. So the dive targets might be a little bit sparse for Lupine, as Jordy Steele is going to be building up some of that bubble, some of that charge up, and just putting a lot of pressure on the backline. But there's a dive, and we find Soul after the dive, which is great. And at the same time, look at this, the bubble ones I was talking about earlier from the Winston, it just makes Zarya's life so much more difficult. But Juan Pablo finding Kiori in the backline, and I mean, you find Kiori, but Lupine finds everyone else.
Yeah, again, work out super easily for them. Les for Mercy needs to stay alive here, and will be able to do so by the looks of things. And Juan Pablo, that stagger is brutal. That's going to mean the Cottage Gnomes can't refight for God knows how long, and that's going to be a lot of free progress as well. Look, that's the window stall already removed in just one fight. UKN Lupine off to an absolutely flying start here. Cottage Gnomes going to need to catch up somehow.
Somehow, some way, they have to, especially with this Zarya still gonna be locking it in. A little bit of a hack on Y, force him to retreat back to the front line, and there it is, beautiful hack into the virus combo from Gungar right on top of Kiori, who is just pelted down by a rush down from Cottage Gnomes. You're now down your support line. Lupine might have to back up a little bit here, especially as Axel finding the DPS, finding Red out in the fray. Now you can see, Y just said, I had no support. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Reset.
Yeah, fair enough to it. Yeah, they're making wholesale changes, actually. UKN Lupine. They want to play into the Zarya comp, apparently. So, over to the Kiri Lucio backline, Red on that Cassidy. Curious, actually, to me. I guess it means that the backline is less susceptible to any kind of pressure. But in exchange, it means that your frontline trade is going to be even worse. So, Y is going to really struggle playing around Jordy Steele. Little Tuna, though, gets the early pick.
Yeah, especially on Juan Pablo, who has that Tectonic Shock for Venture ready. And at the very least, you have that in the back pocket on your next approach, and the bot is, going to be able to get back to that first objective by the time everyone does come back. So you can expand that coalescence, you can expand that tectonic shock from the venture. And EMP is coming up on the back end of things, and for Lupine, they don't really have a defensive mechanism against that tectonic shock besides the Winston bubble from Y and Y's primal.
Oh, what? Again? Okay, it's Malga out. This makes some sense, just in terms of getting the 1v1 versus Y. I'm curious why the Zarya wasn't the choice, though, for this scenario. So we'll see if this gets any more purchase. However, heavy ult fight here for Cottage Gnomes. They can just go with their Q buttons first and kind of think later.
Exactly, and I'm hoping that someone does it, especially as the sound barrier does come active online ready, and there it is. Alex going to be explaining the coalescence, one of the fastest charging support ultimates in the game, and just using it as a third ability, may I add. Gunber also be finding red with that virus, and honestly, a really good cleanup from Cottage Gnomes all around. And at the end of the day, when we thought they were going to expand everything and just say, screw it, press Q, they had a discipline to only expand and push with that coalescence from Axel and win the team fight just like that.
I mean, they've still got basically just one team fights online because of how powerful that EMP is. You can combo it with something. You don't even have to. You'll still probably find some value. So Cottage Gnomes can just play for the EMP and maybe just EMP Y. They don't want to do that, though. What the hell?
No, we don't. We're actually going to be finding... We still find Curie on the Kiriko, and the Primal is still going to be out, so has to utilize that sound barrier just for some more survivability, but you are up players. We do see the swap from Lil Tuna onto the Echo now that really no one Cottage Gnomes can deal with them too consistently, besides Moira with the no aim, of course. We're just having to track that down, and the point is... the bot is pushing way closer to that equal percentage than previously expected.
Yeah, no, it's being more and more competitive. Great sticky nades, but Juan Pablo was able to cleanse it. EMP hits all 5. Oh, that is absolutely brutal.
That's and like you said, pretty much a one-team fight, trying to find a hack as well, just for some extra hurt. And also the Tectonic Shock finally going to be expended here, and my Kiriko is going up in the air, trying to get out of the ground, and Y also trying to do the same. Really great team fight again from Cottage Gnomes, and at the same time, now you build up that cage, you build up almost that coalescence from Axel. You're great, you're cycling through these ultimates very smartly, and look at this, they're about to pass a point.
Yeah, that they are. Almost the lead garnered now for Cottage Gnomes, already forward spawns garnered. What can UKN Lupine do? Maybe go in with a Malga dupe, maybe a Sombra dupe, something like that, but it's going to be tricky either way.
Ooh, I love Kiri on the Ana, just putting a lot of her onto Georgie's Theo with that anti-nade, it forcing it back out, because after that E is expended and you're purple, again, the purple coming through once more. The duplicate is also ready, but no need to use it when they're down their entire tank. And the hack does not go through. Great use of those corners to negate the hack being out of line, out of sight. And so also going down for the count. We may have lost Lil Tuna, but at the end of the day, that is a one-team fight. That is the bot being pushed even further in your advantage.
Not the lead taken here, crucially, from Cottage Gnomes. If they're able to get that, then the entire momentum of the map swings. But UKN Lupine able to keep it at least for now and get the robot all the way back to their end of the map, closer to their ults as well. UKN Lupine have really restabilized here.
The cage is also ready, like I had mentioned earlier, and Cottage Gnomes finding that Lupine is going backwards back towards the main area wave, because they actually want to fight a little more space to work around with, and I completely agree there. Big sleep. No! I watched that happen in real time. My man went nowhere. Axel went nowhere. The kid has been expended. Oh, I feel so bad. I've been there, bestie. And now they're also going to go down for the count by Lil Tuna, negating the hit scan, and so does Georgie Steele. The cage does nothing for them. The honing beam does no help for Soul, and it's really just Juan Pablo on the venture just trying to contest, but it doesn't matter. I'm still floored about the Swift Step. Ugh, I'm so mad.
That fight was just like a tragedy of errors, right? You cage nothing, your Swift Step gets cancelled by the hack, and at that point, you're kind of cooked no matter how well you're playing. UKN Lupine now, they've got both their strong ults, the EMP and the Nano, and they should be on course to at least win out this next one, possibly even completing the map.
They're so close to it too. Great tracking from Red, finding a lot of pressure, putting a lot of pressure on Soul there. The bot gonna be negated, or I mean at least contested hotly in this area. But the EMP is massive, but it doesn't catch. It doesn't catch. It doesn't catch one. I saw. There's so much going on. Sorry. Like I saw Nano. I saw Y just killing everybody, being the third DPS. The EMP was great from Red. It's a one team fight. Boom. Go on. We move next.
Yeah. Silver lining, they have ults left, do Cottage Gnomes, and UKN Lupine don't. So this next fight should essentially be free. And with 2 minutes left, they have enough time to make it back to at least a middling position, you know, in regulation.
Ooh, they're trying to go. I love that Lupine has the discipline to just go backwards to a better part of the map that's a little bit more advantageous for them. Even more so that Soul is gone. You, again, don't have that speed boost to get out of there. As well as the duplicate is online for Lil Tuna. And everything is just falling into place for the side of UKN Lupine. Absolutely. Time and time again. They're about a full cap here with only a couple of meters to go. And can Cosmos get a last-minute recontest? They absolutely can, I believe, with Soul being the first one to die, can be the first one to recontest. But again, Duplicate is ready, and Lutu is finding a target.
Yeah, that it is. I mean, you have so many bad targets here. Again, needs to be a strong retake. That's going to be Tectonic Shock Pop. So is the Deadeye, but so far not finding too much at all. A kill onto Wide going to be it.
Wait, we're back. Cottage is back with a minute left on the clock. They're finding their value again. They're finding their footing. This is gonna be a hell of a push, though. It's at least three-ish team fights you have to win in about a minute and some change with the overtime as well. Lupine, however, look at that ult economy spec. They have almost everything save for dupe. Cottage Gnomes, and now they just swapped off to the Echo. There's no Venture Tectonic Shock as online either. Now there's really just that cage and the sound barrier.
Yeah, that's enough to build a fight win around, but you need some ults to be thrown away if UKN Lupine are going to end up losing this.
EMP is ready again. Oh, it will not be used though. Juan Pablo focusing on Red as best as they can. This is what I'm talking about. Juan Pablo on this Echo is absolutely amazing to watch. They just shut down every approach from the side of UKN Lupine every single time.
Yeah, using the beat, I'm not a crazy fan of, but it gets the job done anyway. They've got the cage through for next fight. They've got the Kitsune as well. All they need to worry about now is the EMP cancelling out the cage, and they can structure a very reasonable fight plan with what they have. What?
Absolutely amazing. Oh no!
Oh my
no!
lord! Oh
No!
my
What
lord!
happened? What happened? No! No! 1 second left on the clock. What do you mean? I can't believe it ends that way. Spec, I saw like an amazing counter EMP with the hinder, the flashbang, the fake flashbang, the stun, the melee, boom, out of here. And then I turn around. Everyone's dead. What happened?
I mean, Red is able to get the EMP off even though they die. That EMP is all 5 players, then we get an anti-nade come through, and it's just the easiest cleanup of your life, right? Everybody's low HP, can't use cooldowns, can't use abilities, can't heal. They're kind of just, you know, sitting ducks and get taken down there, unfortunately. EMP was always going to be the biggest threat here for Cottage Gnomes, and unfortunately for them, it means that they're going to lose out this series 2-1. Super competitive, though, the entire way. You know, I feel like without that one ultimate, it really could have been a victory for Cottage Gnomes.
Absolutely. Had we been able to cancel out that EMP by killing Sombra just a tiny bit faster, literally a half a second faster, I think we would have seen a much different outcome here for in favor of Cottage Gnomes. But no, UKN Lupine showing out, having one of the closest games we've seen so far in the event today, and it was just an absolute treat to watch, absolute pleasure.
It was a crazy game. I mean, also, of course, congratulations to UKN Lupine, who have played a very, very strong series and absolutely deserved their victory today. You know, it didn't start off in their favor, but they're able to get the reverse sweep going. And I got to say, that's a Paraiso that was surgical mod. So I'm just happy that we got a series this competitive. And for the next game, I believe we're going to be handing it off to a fresh pair of casters to bring you the action.
Absolutely. So that means we're going to a very quick break once more as we get our casters ready, as we get our teams up and ready as well for you guys. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes.